A fool to you is all I'll ever be. Yeah.
Il est à l'avant-garde de la jeune génération de bluesmen outre-Atlantique. McKinley James se positionne comme un fervent défenseur du blues électrique de l'après-guerre en citant comme influence Jimmy Reed, Magic Sam ou encore Lightning Hopkins. Il grandit à Rochester, au nord-est des États-Unis, avant d'emménager à Nashville, et c'est dans la capitale du Tennessee, berceau de la musique populaire américaine, qu'il développe son propre projet, avec le soutien de son père, musicien réputé et batteur du groupe. Son dernier album, Working Class Blues, une formule guitare-voix plus batterie, a été enregistré en analogique dans le petit home studio de la grange familiale, un disque prometteur et brut de décoffrage qui mélange blues, soul et rock que je vous invite à découvrir sans plus tarder. C'est dans le cadre de sa récente tournée européenne de 24 dates en 31 jours que McKinley James, adepte de la philosophie du less is more et du shuffle laid back, m'a sympathiquement accordé un entretien juste avant son concert parisien, et c'est avec grand plaisir que je vous invite à découvrir cette interview guitare en main avec l'un des artistes blues les plus intéressants de sa génération. Bon visionnage.
So there's a song off Working Class Blues that actually it's a Jimmy Reed inspired tune called "Call Me Lonesome," and it's just very Jimmy Reed. And actually last year we were touring on and off with ZZ Top, and I actually bonded and became really good friends with Billy Gibbons over Jimmy Reed, as he's a big Jimmy Reed fan and saw Jimmy Reed a bunch of times, and. On our sound checks, he would always come out and ask to jam this one with us. So it's called "Call Me Lonesome," and it's kind of like our homage to Jimmy Reed. Well, I can't stand your cheating, baby. Really can't go for your lies. Well, I can't stand your cheating, baby. Really can't go for your lies. Well, it's been raining my heart, and that's the only two things on your mind. Well, you think you're fooling me, baby, but I got my eyes on you. Well, you think you're fooling me, baby, but I got my eyes on you. Well, you always got me thinking, what am I supposed to do? Well, they call me lonesome, 'cause all you do is run out on me. They call me lonesome, 'cause all you do is run out on me. I'm just your fool, baby. A fool to you is all I'll ever be. Yeah. Swing on back when the sun goes down. A good handful of bands and guitar players in that realm that when I first started playing guitar gave me that kind of feeling. I remember, so in Rochester, I used to take guitar lessons from this guy named Dan Schmidt, who was already a well-established R&B blues guitar player, jazz guitar player in Rochester that my dad had been playing with since he was young. My dad had introduced me to him, who had turned me on to a lot of records, and I learned a lot from. But he introduced Paul Butterfield and Mike Bloomfield, and then I think, so it was a mix of like Magic Sam, because when I heard West Side Soul for the first time, it was like okay, this is exactly what I want to do. And I remember specifically it was West Side Soul, the first Butterfield album, and then Girls Go Wild, the Fabulous Thunderbirds were the first three kind of at the same time I discovered, and they were all kind of like solidified. Okay, this is, this like this. I really realized, okay, blues is like a feeling, and it really, I just wanted to be immersed with it as much as I could. It's a really encouraging and scary town at the same time. So every Monday night at this place called 12 South Tap, there used to be this Blue Monday gig, and it was Kenny Vaughan, Jeffrey Clemens, and Dave Rowe on bass. And it was their Monday like in-town gig, and for guitar players, Kenny Vaughan is guitar player in the Marty Stewart band, and Dave Rowe played on, he played with Jerry Reed and played on a lot of the Johnny Cash stuff, and Jeffrey Clemens was from G-Love. So like, you have a lot of A-list people just playing small restaurants and bars and stuff just to play. So my first gig that I saw in Nashville, my dad took me down to that show, and I realized like you really have to be like on your, try to be the absolute best you can be, because there's like everyone else in town is better than you, which is the scary part. But I think if you just do what you like to do, none of that matters. Like if you just do what you like doing, people will notice. You're not trying, because there's so many people in town that are trying to chase like what's trendy now in modern country or whatever it would be, and I think that's what makes you get lost in the shuffle. But there's so many great musicians and artists in town that just are doing their own thing, and not worrying about the outside noise, and they're having very successful careers in a town of guitar players and just music in general. I've had a lot of fun being there. I think we've been there just over 9 years, and I'm super thankful and glad that we've made the move. It's only made me just focused on being, a better guitar player and musician. Magic Sound, like West Side Soul, I believe the record opens with All Your Love, and let's turn the reverb up a little bit just to kind of get it. It's just like, like it just grabs you right away, and it's just like in your face. And so that's a little bit Magic Sam, And then you've got, Jimmy Vaughan, Wait on Time. I mean, what a hell of a way to start your record, Wait on Time. It's perfect. You've got the Jimmy Vaughan thing where it's, just the playing of just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just raw, but like precise at the same time. It just grabbed me right away. And then also, right about that time, I learned about Jimmy Reed, because there was a guitar player in town who was friends with a lot of the older blues guys from Chicago and Mississippi. He grew up with B.B. King. His name's Joe Beard. And I'd become friends with him pretty early on. And not super close friends, but close enough. I'd come out and see his gigs. And I played with him a couple of times. And he was a big Jimmy Reed, Eddie Taylor guy. So before I knew about Jimmy Reed and Eddie Taylor specifically, and Lightning Hopkins, I'd already been hearing that kind of playing. You've got the Lightning Hopkins thing where it's, or Eddie Taylor. And it's simple, but all at the same time, it just feels so good. You could even go to some Jimmy Reed, and you're just laid back, but you're. I think I got home from tour not too long ago, and I was just listening to Jimmy Reed a bunch because we were doing some of that in sound check, and I came home and I sat on my couch. And I think for about 30 minutes, I was just, it's like hypnotic, but it just has a groove that just sounds so I don't know how to describe it. It's just so like hypnotizing to me.
Swing on back when the sun goes down.
I don't think so. I think because I'm so, and including everyone in the band, we're such fans of that kind of music, R&B music, blues music, soul music, that it's just always inspiring for us. So it's just always staying inspired, finding new records and stuff, and rediscovering old records that we'd listen to. It kind of keeps us motivated to just keep, falling in love with it. And then at the same time, I always have one foot into the old school world and where I started. And then I do like to, because I listen to a lot of new music as well. And I love to kind of have a foot in both worlds. So then I can be at my house on my couch spinning records all day. But, there's some people that will never relate to that. So like through my music or our music, I love to kind of blend what I love to like something that somebody else can relate to, even if they're not, a fan of blues music or soul music, they can still relate to it. But I definitely have fun, still having that foot deep into like old roots music. For the most part, sometimes I get carried away, but for the most part, I keep it pretty simple. I usually, my main guitar that I have brought over to Europe a couple times, and actually it got not lost, but it came on a later flight last time we came here. So I was like, it's a 335, and it's my number one. When I come over here, I usually bring a Strat or this Tour Esquire, but it's usually like a Fender and a Gibson, just to have all fields if I'd like. Over here, I've got this twin reverb, but in the States, I usually use two super reverbs. I got a 68, which I've had, I think probably 6 years. I've used it on every gig for the last 6 years. It's my all-time, I love the 410. So I've got two super reverbs. And then if it's a smaller gig, I'll use a Headstrong corduroy amp, which is essentially like a Brown Deluxe. And so I usually keep it, and that's like volume and tone and tremolo. For pedals, I use a tuner and then an AB switch because I've got the two. Recently, I've been using a stereo chorus, a stereo chorus to keep it fun. I usually have it on a slow chorus just for a little fun, but that's only on one song. And then if it's a really tiny gig and I only have my super, I'll use an overdrive, but it'll just be like a one knob overdrive. It won't be anything crazy. I've really loved the idea of just, cable right into the amp. You kind of set your settings, but then everything else is just, you can either get, real like low down, get that. But then you can do rhythm and you're just all with just like the bare minimum. And I again, it goes back to like Steve Cropper. I was a big Steve Cropper fan. Mike Bloomfield, they've only got two pickups, and most of the time, they're switching, but it's mainly, or, Jimmy Reed, it's just making as much as you can out of just so little, really just helped me gravitate towards their playing, just being able to just, okay, I'm going to get, really bring in some attitude, and you get real down towards the bridge, and you just, but you can end I always like to, you end it, get real harsh and then just end it mellow. Half the time I really kind of don't know what I'm doing, but kind of do at the same time. Whatever I'm feeling, it's just, I can right away just kind of feel it and go to it with just the minimal stuff. I don't know, I'm pretty simple-minded. Yeah, totally. So it's just in B flat. And the main riff is like it's really close to like a box, your box or back. So, and we have a good hand of songs that have that. And so I just wanted to make something very similar, but a little bit different. And so I just went. that little tail end piece kind of came, I had that in my head, that little, in my head for weeks. And then I was just like, well, how can, that's kind of like an end, you know, that could be a start to a riff, but it sounded like an end. So I was just like, I was just kind of like, you know, then we'd do the riff and then it just kind of was like. But one thing I love to add on a lot of these riffs is I always have the root note. So I'm always going. And a lot of the time, like including on that riff, I really kind of always, when I grab a couple strings, I always bend. It just kind of adds a little bit of motion, you know, because you can go. But like it just adds a little bit of mojo if you go. But it's basically just a blues box with just a little hook and then just the. Definitely West Side Soul, because that was one of the first blues albums that I ever got into blues music. I guess I'm gonna have to say Girls Go Wild, the first T-Birds album, because it was another one that got me really into it. And then let's do a wild card here. It would be Lightning Hopkins' Lightning Strikes, because that was the first album of the Jimmy Reed and Eddie Taylor and Lightning Hopkins kind of trilogy world of guitar playing that I got into. So it was Girls Go Wild, West Side Soul, Magic Sam, and then Lightning Strikes.
Swing on back when the sun goes down.
I think it's one of those things where we're all ready to be home, but at the same time we're having a lot of fun at the same time. All the shows have been really great, and there's been so many great people, and we've met a lot of new friends and seen some old friends in the cities that we played. It's a hard question because it's like we're having so much fun, but we are ready to, I think, get back and kind of relax for a minute, even though we do go back out. I think in 2 weeks we go back out in the States, but just be nice to have a little break for a second.